Zara had always been different. While other children played with holographic toys and immersive virtual reality games, she spent her time devouring advanced physics textbooks and tinkering with discarded alien tech. Her parents, both respected xenobiologists, had nurtured her insatiable curiosity from an early age. They recognized that their daughter's brilliance was something extraordinary, even by the standards of humanity's brightest minds. On a crisp autumn morning, as golden leaves drifted lazily through the air, Zara received news that would change her life forever. She had been accepted into the Galactic Institute of Advanced Sciences, the most prestigious center of learning in the known universe. Located on the artificial ring world of Luminara, the institute was a melting pot of the galaxy's most brilliant minds, a place where groundbreaking discoveries were made daily. As Zara stood before the shimmering holographic acceptance letter, her dark eyes wide with excitement, she could hardly contain her joy. "Mom, Dad," she called out, her voice echoing through their apartment. "I got in. I'm going to Luminara." Her parents rushed into the room, their faces a mix of pride and concern. They knew what this meant. Their little girl would be leaving Earth, venturing into the stars to study alongside alien beings centuries older than her. But they also knew they couldn't hold her back. Zara's potential was too great, her destiny too important. "We're so proud of you, sweetheart," her father said, pulling her into a tight embrace. "You're going to change the universe." The next few weeks were a whirlwind of preparation. Zara pored over xenobiology texts, brushing up on the physiology and customs of the many alien species she would soon encounter. She packed her prized possession, a hand-built quantum computer of her own design, along with a small holo-projector containing images of her family and her home on Earth. As the day of departure arrived, Zara stood at the spaceport, her heart pounding with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. The sleek, silver starship that would carry her to Luminara loomed before her, its hull gleaming in the morning sunlight. She turned to her parents, suddenly feeling very small and very young. What if I'm not good enough?" she whispered, voicing the fear that had been gnawing at her for weeks. Her mother knelt down, looking Zara in the eye. "Zara, listen to me. You are more than good enough. You have a gift, a brilliant mind that sees connections others miss. But more than that, you have the heart of an explorer and the spirit of humanity. Never forget where you come from, and never stop pushing the boundaries of what's possible." With those words echoing in her mind, Zara boarded the starship. As Earth grew smaller in the viewport, she felt a surge of determination. She would make her parents, her species, proud. She would show the galaxy what humanity was capable of. The journey to Luminara took several weeks, even at faster-than-light speeds. Zara spent the time studying and observing her fellow passengers, a diverse array of alien species, each with their own unique biology and culture. She was fascinated by the crystalline beings from Sigma Draconis, whose bodies seemed to shimmer and change color with their moods. The methane-breathing Zorblactians, with their multiple tentacles and googly eyes, at first unnerved her, but she soon found them to be kind and surprisingly funny. As the ship approached Luminara, Zara gasped in awe. The ring world was a marvel of engineering, a band of habitable land encircling a small star. Its inner surface was a patchwork of ecosystems, from lush forests to sparkling oceans, all carefully designed to accommodate the diverse needs of its inhabitants. At the heart of it all stood the Galactic Institute, a sprawling complex of crystalline spires and geometric domes that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The starship docked at one of Luminara's many spaceports, and Zara disembarked with the other new students. They were greeted by a holographic guide, a shimmering, translucent being that shifted its appearance to match the species it was addressing. "Welcome, new initiates, to the Galactic Institute of Advanced Sciences," the guide announced, its voice resonating in multiple frequencies to be understood by all. "You have been chosen from countless applicants across the galaxy as the brightest and most promising minds of your generation. Here, you will push the boundaries of knowledge and discover the secrets of the universe." As Zara followed the guide through the Institute's winding corridors, she couldn't help but feel a sense of belonging. This was where she was meant to be, surrounded by cutting-edge technology and brilliant minds from across the cosmos. She was assigned to a dormitory specially designed for species with similar environmental needs, and she quickly settled in, unpacking her few belongings and setting up her quantum computer. Her first day of classes was a whirlwind of new experiences. In quantum mechanics, she found herself debating theories with a three-brained Arcturian whose mental capabilities dwarfed most supercomputers. In xenobiology, she worked alongside a gelatinous andromedand to unravel the genetic code of a newly discovered life form. Each class challenged her in ways she had never imagined, pushing her to think beyond the limits of human understanding. But it was in her Advanced Propulsion Systems class that Zara truly began to shine. As the instructor, a venerable Vulpinoid named Professor Zix, explained the principles of current faster-than-light travel, Zara's mind raced with new ideas. She saw connections that others missed, envisioning a new approach that could revolutionize interstellar travel. Unable to contain her excitement, Zara raised her hand. "Professor Zix," she called out, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "What if we combined the principles of quantum entanglement with dark energy manipulation? Couldn't we create a drive that doesn't just bend space-time, but bypasses it entirely?" The classroom fell silent. Professor Zix's furry ears twitched, and his golden eyes narrowed as he considered Zara's question. For a moment, she feared she had overstepped, that her human brashness had offended the esteemed alien instructor. But then, to her surprise and relief, Professor Zix's muzzle curved into what she recognized as a smile. "An intriguing hypothesis, young Zara," he said, his voice a low growl. "One that challenges our current understanding of physics. I look forward to seeing how you develop this idea." As the class ended, Zara found herself surrounded by curious classmates, all eager to discuss her radical proposal. For the first time since arriving on Luminara, she felt truly accepted, not just as a novelty, the young human prodigy, but as a peer with ideas worth exploring. That night, as she lay in her bunk, staring out at the star-studded sky visible through her window, Zara felt a surge of excitement and purpose. She had taken her first steps into a larger universe, and she was determined to leave her mark upon it. Little did she know that her journey was just beginning, and that the challenges ahead would test not just her intellect, but her very identity as a human in a vast, alien cosmos. As she drifted off to sleep, her mind still buzzing with ideas, Zara couldn't help but smile. Tomorrow would bring new discoveries, new challenges, and new opportunities to prove that humanity deserved its place among the stars. And she, Zara Chen, would be at the forefront of that journey, pushing the boundaries of science and showing the galaxy what one small human with a big dream could achieve. As weeks turned into months at the Galactic Institute, Zara's initial excitement gave way to a growing sense of frustration. While her mind continued to race with innovative ideas, she found herself increasingly at odds with the rigid structure and conservative approach of many of her alien instructors. In her theoretical physics class, Zara's hand shot up once again. "Professor Xylith," she addressed the towering, tree-like arboran at the front of the room, "I've been thinking about your lecture on dark matter. What if we're approaching it all wrong? Instead of trying to detect it directly, what if we focused on its gravitational effects on visible matter at a quantum level?" The class fell silent, all eyes turning to the small human girl who dared to question one of the galaxy's leading authorities on dark matter. Professor Xylith's leaves rustled, a sign of agitation that Zara had learned to recognize. "Young Zara," the professor's voice creaked like ancient bark, "while your enthusiasm is admirable, I must remind you that these theories have been developed and refined over millennia by the greatest minds in the galaxy. It would be presumptuous to think that a newcomer species could so easily overturn established doctrine." Zara felt her cheeks burn with a mixture of embarrassment and indignation. She wasn't trying to be presumptuous. She genuinely believed her idea had merit. As she slumped back in her seat, she caught the eye of Krell, a Syrian student whose iridescent scales shimmered with what she had come to recognize as sympathy. After class, Krell approached her. "Don't let old Silith get you down," he chittered, his mandibles clicking softly. "Some of us think your ideas are fascinating. Maybe the professors are just too set in their ways to see the potential." Zara managed a small smile. "Thanks, Krell. I just don't understand why they're so resistant to new ideas. Isn't that what science is all about?" As the term progressed, Zara found more allies among her fellow students. There was Lyran, an energy being from the Pleiades cluster, whose thoughts literally illuminated the air around her, and Zorax, a multi-limbed octopodon whose analytical skills complemented Zara's intuitive leaps of logic. Together, they formed a study group that quickly gained a reputation for challenging conventional wisdom. One evening, as they gathered in Zara's dorm room, surrounded by holographic displays of their latest projects, Lyran's glow pulsed with excitement. "Zara, I've been running simulations based on your quantum entanglement propulsion theory. The results are incredible. If this works, it could revolutionize space travel." Zara's eyes lit up. "Really? Let me see." She pored over the data, her mind racing with possibilities. "This is it, guys. We need to present this to the Advanced Propulsion Systems Board. They have to see the potential." But when Zara and her friends attempted to schedule a presentation, they were met with resistance at every turn. Administrator after administrator brushed them off, citing protocols and proper channels. It wasn't until Professor Zix, intrigued by rumors of their work, intervened that they were granted a hearing. The day of the presentation arrived, and Zara stood before the board, a panel of the most esteemed scientists from across the galaxy. Her palms were sweaty, but her voice was steady as she began to explain their theory. "Distinguished members of the board," she started, her holographic display coming to life behind her. "What we're proposing is a paradigm shift in how we approach faster-than-light travel. By harnessing the principles of quantum entanglement and dark energy manipulation, we believe we can create a drive that doesn't just bend space-time, but bypasses it entirely." As she delved into the technical details, Zara could see a mixture of reactions from the board members. Some leaned forward, clearly intrigued. Others sat back, arms crossed, skepticism etched on their alien features. Professor Zix, she noticed, was watching her intently, his golden eyes unreadable. When she finished, there was a moment of silence before the questions began. Some were genuinely curious, probing the depths of their theory. Others were clearly designed to poke holes, to expose what the questioners saw as the folly of youth. "And how, young human," asked a Vogon scientist, his voice dripping with condescension, "do you propose to contain the quantum fluctuations that would inevitably result from such a drive? The energy requirements alone would be—" "Actually," Zara interrupted, her confidence growing, "we've developed a theoretical containment field that would not only manage the fluctuations, but harness them to power the drive itself. If you look at the equations on page 47 of our proposal." The debate raged on for hours. Zara and her friends defended their work passionately, countering every objection with well-reasoned arguments and data. By the end, even some of the initial skeptics seemed swayed by the potential of their ideas. As the hearing concluded, Professor Zix approached Zara. "Impressive work, young one," he growled softly. "You've given us much to think about. But remember, challenging established theories is one thing. Proving them is another entirely. The path you're choosing will not be an easy one." Zara nodded, understanding the weight of his words. "Thank you, Professor. We know it won't be easy, but we believe it's important. If we're right, this could change everything." In the days that followed, Zara and her friends became the talk of the Institute. Some students looked at them with newfound respect, while others viewed them with suspicion or even hostility. The faculty seemed divided, with some expressing interest in their work and others dismissing it as youthful arrogance. Zara threw herself into her research with renewed vigor. She spent long nights in the lab, fine-tuning their theories and running increasingly complex simulations. Her grades in her regular classes began to slip as she focused more and more on her extracurricular work. One evening, as she was deep in concentration, manipulating a holographic model of their proposed drive, she received an urgent message. It was from Administrator Vex, the stern Arcturian who oversaw student affairs. Zara was being summoned to a disciplinary hearing. With a sense of dread, Zara made her way to the administrator's office. As she entered, she found not just Administrator Vex, but also several of her professors, including the disapproving Professor Asylith. Zara Chen, Administrator Vex began, his 3 eyes blinking in sequence. We have called you here to discuss your recent activities. While we encourage students to explore new ideas, your persistent challenges to establish theories and your disregard for proper academic procedures have become disruptive. Zara felt a surge of indignation. Disruptive? But our work could revolutionize space travel. Isn't that what the Institute is all about? Pushing the boundaries of science. Professor Xylith's leaves rustled angrily. You overstep, young human. Your species has barely mastered interplanetary travel, yet you presume to overturn theories developed by civilizations that were exploring the stars when your ancestors were still swinging in trees. The meeting devolved into a heated argument, with Zara passionately defending her right to pursue her ideas, while the administrators and professors insisted on the need for order and respect for established knowledge. Finally, Administrator Vex raised a tentacle for silence. Enough. Zara Chen, it is clear that you are not ready to abide by the rules and traditions of this institution. It is the decision of this board that you be placed on probation. You will cease all unauthorized research immediately and focus on your assigned studies. Failure to comply will result in your expulsion from the Galactic Institute. Zara left the office in shock, her mind reeling. How could they not see the importance of what she and her friends were working on? How could they be so blind to the potential of new ideas? As she walked back to her dorm, her shock turned to determination. She couldn't give up now, not when they were so close to a breakthrough. If the Institute wouldn't support their work, then they would find another way. That night, Zara gathered her friends in a secluded corner of the Institute's arboretum. Under the bioluminescent glow of alien flora, they made a pact. They would continue their research in secret, using whatever resources they could cobble together. And when they had proof, irrefutable proof, of their theory's validity, they would reveal it to the galaxy, with or without the Institute's blessing. As they dispersed, each returning to their dorms before curfew, Zara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. She knew they were walking a dangerous path, one that could end her academic career before it truly began. But she also knew that some ideas were worth fighting for, no matter the cost. Little did she know that her actions in the coming weeks would set in motion a chain of events that would not only change her life, but potentially alter the course of galactic history itself. The weeks following Zara's disciplinary hearing were tense. By day, she attended her classes, keeping her head down and biting her tongue when outdated theories were presented as immutable fact. But by night, she and her friends worked tirelessly in makeshift labs, cobbled together from discarded equipment and powered by Luran's own energy emissions. Their breakthrough came on a quiet evening, as the artificial sun of Luminara dipped below the horizon. Zara was fine-tuning a miniature prototype of their quantum entanglement drive when suddenly, the device hummed to life. A tiny sphere of swirling energy formed above it, distorting the space around it. "Guys, look." Zara called out, her voice trembling with excitement. "It's working." Her friends gathered around, their faces illuminated by the pulsing glow of the prototype. Krell's scales shimmered with excitement, while Zorax's multiple eyes widened in astonishment. "We did it," Lauren whispered, her form glowing brighter than ever. "We actually did it." Their celebration was short-lived. The door to their secret lab burst open, revealing Administrator Vex flanked by security drones. "Zara Chen," the Arcturian's voice was cold with fury, "you have directly violated the terms of your probation. This unauthorized and dangerous experimentation ends now." As the security drones moved to confiscate their equipment, Zara made a split-second decision. She grabbed the prototype, clutching it to her chest. "No," she shouted. "You don't understand. We've done it. We've proven our theory works." But her pleas fell on deaf ears. Administrator Vex advanced, his 3 eyes narrowed in anger. "You leave us no choice, human. By the authority vested in me by the Galactic Institute, I hereby expel you, Zara Chen, effective immediately. You will be escorted off Luminara within the hour." The next few moments were a blur. Zara found herself in her dorm room, hastily packing her belongings. Tears streamed down her face as she realized the magnitude of what had just happened. Her dream, her future, everything she had worked for, gone in an instant. As she was led to the spaceport, her friends appeared, having evaded the watchful eyes of the administrators. "Zara, we're so sorry," Krell chittered, his mandibles quivering with emotion. "This isn't fair." Zorax extended one of his tentacles, pressing a data crystal into her hand. "We managed to save some of our research. Don't let them win, Zara. Keep working. Keep fighting." Loran's glow pulsed softly. "We believe in you, Zara. You'll show them all someday." With a final tearful goodbye, Zara boarded a transport ship bound for the nearest hub world. As Luminara shrank in the viewport, she clutched the prototype and data crystal, her only links to the future she had imagined for herself. The journey home to Earth was long and lonely. Zara spent most of it in her cramped cabin, poring over the data they had managed to save, determined not to let their work go to waste. When she finally arrived in New Shanghai, her parents were waiting, their faces a mixture of concern and disappointment. "Oh, Zara," her mother sighed, pulling her into a tight embrace. "What happened?" Over the next few days, Zara poured out her story, the excitement of discovery, the frustration of closed-minded academics, and the heartbreak of expulsion. Her parents listened, offering comfort and support, but she could see the worry in their eyes. What future was there for an expelled student, even one as brilliant as Zara? But Zara was not ready to give up. "Mom, Dad," she said one evening, her voice filled with determination, "I know I've let you down. But what we discovered, it's real and it's important. I can't just let it go." Her father nodded slowly. "We understand, sweetheart. But what will you do now?" Zara took a deep breath. "I'm going to keep working. Somehow, somewhere. I'll find a way to prove our theory. And when I do, the whole galaxy will have to take notice." And so began Zara's exodus. With her parents' reluctant blessing and the meager savings from her time at the Institute, she set out on a journey across Earth and beyond. She took odd jobs on research stations, worked as a junior engineer on interplanetary freighters, and even spent time with a group of rogue scientists on a hidden asteroid base. All the while, she continued her research. Every spare credit went into improving her prototype. Every free moment was spent refining her calculations. Years passed, and Zara grew from a precocious teenager into a determined young woman. Her travels took her to the fringes of human-controlled space and beyond. She encountered other species who had been marginalized by the galactic elite, beings whose unconventional ideas had been dismissed or suppressed. Among them, she found kindred spirits and new allies. On a distant moon orbiting a gas giant in the Tau Ceti system, Zara met Dr. Elara Voss, a human xenoarchaeologist whose controversial theories about ancient alien civilizations had seen her ostracized from academic circles. Elara took Zara under her wing, providing her with access to resources and introducing her to a network of freethinkers and innovators from across the galaxy. The established powers fear change, Elara told her one night, as they sat watching the gas giant's swirling storms through the dome of their research station. "But change is the only constant in the universe. Keep pushing, Zara. Your ideas could be the key to unlocking secrets beyond our imagination." Inspired by Elara's words and armed with new knowledge and resources, Zara redoubled her efforts. She began publishing her findings under a pseudonym, slowly gaining attention in underground scientific circles. Her work, combining human intuition with the knowledge she had gained at the Institute and in her travels, was starting to make waves. As her 25th birthday approached, Zara made a breakthrough that would change everything. Late one night, in a makeshift lab on a remote exoplanet, her latest prototype roared to life. The swirling energy sphere expanded, creating a stable wormhole large enough for a small probe to pass through. With trembling hands, Zara activated the probe. It disappeared into the wormhole and seconds later reappeared with data from a point light years away. She had done it. She had created a working faster-than-light drive, one that made the current methods of interstellar travel look like horse-drawn carriages in comparison. As the realization of what she had achieved washed over her, Zara felt a mix of elation and vindication. But she also knew that this was just the beginning. The Galactic establishment wouldn't accept her discovery easily. She would need allies, resources, and a plan. Zara sent encrypted messages to her old friends from the Institute, Krell, Liran, and Zorax. Over the years, they had stayed in touch sporadically, each pursuing their own paths, but never forgetting the bond they had formed. Now, she needed them more than ever. As she waited for their responses, Zara began preparing for the next phase of her journey. She knew that presenting her discovery would shake the foundations of galactic society. The powers that be would resist, perhaps even try to suppress her work as they had done before. But this time, Zara was ready. She was no longer the naive 12-year-old prodigy, easily silenced and pushed aside. She was a woman who had seen the galaxy, who had faced hardship and emerged stronger. And she had a vision for the future, a future where humanity's place among the stars was secured not by conformity, but by the very qualities that made them unique: their creativity, their adaptability, and their unwavering determination. As the twin suns of her adopted world rose on the horizon, Zara looked up at the star-filled sky. Somewhere out there, the Galactic Institute continued its work, unaware that its greatest mistake was about to return, bearing a discovery that would change everything. "Get ready," Zara whispered to the cosmos. "Humanity is coming." The next decade saw Zara Chen transform from a lone genius into a galactic force to be reckoned with. Her breakthrough in faster-than-light travel was just the beginning. With her old friends from the Institute by her side and a growing network of allies across the stars, Zara set out to build something that would shake the very foundations of the galactic order. Krell was the first to arrive at Zara's remote base, his iridescent scales shimmering with excitement as he examined her prototype. "By the cosmic egg," he chittered, mandibles clicking rapidly. "You've actually done it, Zara." Loran and Zorax weren't far behind. The energy being's glow pulsed with pride as she ran complex calculations, confirming the validity of Zara's work. Zorax's multiple limbs moved in a blur, already sketching out plans for larger-scale implementation. "We always knew you'd prove them wrong," Lauren said, her voice a melodious hum. "But this is beyond even our wildest dreams." Together, the reunited friends formed the core of what would become known as the Cosmic Confluence, a coalition of brilliant minds from across the galaxy, united in their pursuit of revolutionary science and technology. Zara knew that they couldn't reveal their discovery immediately. The galactic powers, particularly the Galactic Institute, would move to suppress or control such a groundbreaking technology. Instead, they needed to build their strength, gather allies, and prepare for the moment when they could unveil their work to the galaxy at large. Over the next few years, Zara and her team worked tirelessly. They established hidden research outposts on forgotten worlds, recruited brilliant scientists who had been marginalized by the academic establishment, and slowly but surely built a network that spanned the galaxy. Dr. Elara Voss proved to be an invaluable ally. Her connections in the xenoarchaeological community led Zara to ancient alien ruins that held secrets of long-lost civilizations. In the crystalline spires of an abandoned city on a tidally locked planet, they discovered records of a species that had mastered gravity manipulation millennia ago. This knowledge, combined with Zara's quantum entanglement drive, opened up new avenues of research and technological development. As the cosmic confluence grew, so did its impact. Under various pseudonyms and front organizations, they began releasing technologies that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. Improved terraforming techniques allowed for the colonization of previously inhospitable worlds. Advanced medical nanobots revolutionized healthcare across multiple species. Each release was carefully calculated to improve lives while avoiding too much scrutiny from the galactic authorities. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. The Galactic Institute, sensing a shift in the balance of knowledge, began investigating these new technologies. Zara and her team had to stay one step ahead, constantly moving their operations and covering their tracks. There were close calls. On a mining colony in the Oort cloud of a distant star system, Zara narrowly escaped capture by Institute agents. She found herself cornered in a maintenance shaft, her heart pounding as she heard the heavy footsteps of her pursuers drawing near. It was only thanks to a last-minute rescue by Krell, who had modified his exoskeleton with chameleonic properties, that she managed to slip away undetected. The incident was a stark reminder of the stakes they were playing for. "We need to be more careful," Zara told her team afterward, her face grim. "But we also need to move faster. The longer we wait, the more chances they have to stop us." Zara's human origins, once seen as a liability in the galactic scientific community, now became one of her greatest strengths. Humanity's adaptability and out-of-the-box thinking allowed her to approach problems from angles that other species might never consider. She encouraged her team to embrace this mindset, fostering an environment where no idea was too outlandish to explore. One of their most significant projects was the development of a planetary shield system. Inspired by the natural defenses of a gas giant they had studied, Zara and her team created a technology that could protect entire worlds from cosmic radiation, asteroid impacts, and even energy weapon attacks. When they anonymously provided this technology to a small colony world under threat from space pirates, it saved millions of lives and caught the attention of several minor galactic powers. As the years passed, Zara never forgot the ultimate goal: to prove the worth of her quantum entanglement drive and, by extension, the value of human innovation to the galaxy at large. But she had learned patience. She knew that rushing to reveal their work before they were ready could lead to disaster. It was during this time that Zara also began to grapple with the ethical implications of their work. The technologies they were developing had the potential to reshape the galaxy. With that power came immense responsibility. "We're not just scientists anymore," she told her team during a rare moment of reflection. "We're becoming something more. Guardians, maybe, or revolutionaries. Whatever we are, we need to make sure we're using our knowledge for the right reasons." This philosophy led to the creation of the Confluence Accords, a set of ethical guidelines that all members of their organizations swore to uphold. They vowed to never use their technology for conquest or oppression, to always consider the long-term consequences of their actions, and to strive for the betterment of all sentient life in the galaxy. As Zara's 30th birthday approached, she stood on the observation deck of their latest and greatest creation, a massive space station hidden in the chromosphere of a red giant star. The station, named Phoenix, after the mythical bird of human legend, was a marvel of engineering, combining technologies from a dozen different species with innovations of their own design. Looking out at the roiling sea of plasma that concealed them from the rest of the galaxy, Zara felt a sense of both pride and trepidation. They had come so far from that day on Luminara, when she had been expelled. She had proved her theories, gathered allies, and built something truly remarkable. But the greatest challenge still lay ahead. "It's time," she said softly, more to herself than to anyone else. "Time to show the galaxy what we've achieved. Time to change everything." Behind her, the door to the observation deck slid open. Krell, Liran, and Zorax entered, along with Dr. Voss and several other key members of the Cosmic Confluence. They had all aged in their own ways. Krell's exoskeleton now bore the intricate patterns of a mature Syrian. Laran's energy form had grown more complex and vibrant, and Zorak's tentacles were now adorned with the ceremonial rings of an octopodon sage. Dr. Voss's hair had gone grey, but her eyes still sparkled with the same curiosity and defiance that had drawn Zara to her years ago. "We just received word from our contacts in the core worlds," Dr. Voss said, her voice tight with excitement. "The Galactic Council is convening an emergency session to discuss the recent advancements in technology that have been popping up across the galaxy. They're worried, Zara. They know something big is coming, even if they don't know what it is yet." Zara turned to face her friends, her family in all but blood. A slow smile spread across her face. "Then I think it's time we crashed their party, don't you?" As her team nodded in agreement, their faces a mix of determination and anticipation, Zara felt a surge of emotion. This was the moment they had been working towards for so long. The moment when they would step out of the shadows and show the galaxy the true potential of unfettered scientific progress. "Prepare the Phoenix for departure," she ordered, her voice ringing with authority. "Set course for the galactic core. It's time for humanity to take its rightful place among the stars." As the massive station began to rise from its stellar hiding place, Zara took one last look at the fiery expanse before her. Whatever happened next, she knew that the galaxy would never be the same again, and neither would she. The journey to prove humanity's worth had been long and fraught with danger, but as the Phoenix accelerated towards its destiny, Zara Chen knew that the real adventure was only just beginning. The journey to the galactic core was tense with anticipation. As the Phoenix glided through hyperspace, its revolutionary quantum entanglement drive humming quietly, Zara and her team made their final preparations. They were about to face not just the Galactic Institute that had rejected her, but the entire power structure of known space. "We'll drop out of hyperspace just outside the Coruscant system," Zara briefed her team, her voice steady despite the butterflies in her stomach. "That should give us enough time to make our presence known before they can mobilize any defenses." Krell chittered nervously, his iridescent scales flickering with anxiety. "Are you sure about this, Zara? Once we reveal ourselves, there's no going back." Zara placed a reassuring hand on her friend's exoskeleton. "We've been hiding in the shadows for too long, Krell. It's time to bring our work into the light." As the Phoenix decelerated, the swirling vortex of hyperspace gave way to a breathtaking view of the galactic core. Thousands of stars crowded the viewport, their light coalescing around the supermassive black hole at the galaxy's heart. And there, shining like a jewel among the stellar tapestry, was Coruscant, the capital world of the Galactic Council. "They spotted us," Laran reported, her energy form pulsing with excitement. "We're being hailed by Coruscant traffic control." Zara took a deep breath. "This is it. Open a channel." The view screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of a Thulian traffic controller, his tentacled head writhing with surprise and concern. "Unidentified vessel, you have entered restricted space. Identify yourself immediately or face." "This is Dr. Zara Chen of the Cosmic Confluence," Zara interrupted, her voice ringing with authority. "We come in peace, bearing gifts of knowledge and technology that will change the course of galactic history. We request an immediate audience with the Galactic Council." The controller's tentacles went still with shock. "Dr. Chen, the human exile, but that's impossible. You disappeared years ago." Zara allowed herself a small smile. "Reports of my disappearance have been greatly exaggerated. Now, about that audience." What followed was a flurry of diplomatic activity. The appearance of an unknown megastructure at the heart of galactic civilization, piloted by a long-lost human prodigy, sent shockwaves through the political establishment. After hours of tense negotiation, during which the Phoenix remained in a holding pattern under the wary eyes of the Coruscant Defense Fleet, an agreement was reached. The Galactic Council would convene an emergency session to hear Zara's presentation. But there was a catch. She would have to come alone, leaving the Phoenix and her team in orbit. "It's too dangerous," Zorax protested, his multiple eyes blinking in rapid succession. What if it's a trap? Zara shook her head. It's a risk we have to take. This is our one chance to be heard. I need you all to trust me. With heavy hearts, her friends watched as Zara boarded a small shuttle bound for the surface of Coruscant. As the gleaming spires of the galactic capital grew larger in the viewport, Zara steeled herself for the confrontation to come. The grand chamber of the Galactic Council was a marvel of architecture, its vast dome stretching so high that clouds formed near its apex. Thousands of delegates from every corner of the galaxy filled the tiered seats, their murmurs creating a cacophony of alien languages. At the center of it all stood Zara, a solitary human figure dwarfed by the grandeur around her. But as she began to speak, her voice amplified by the chamber's acoustics, the noise died down to a hushed silence. "Esteemed members of the council," she began, her eyes sweeping across the assembled dignitaries, 20 years ago, I stood before the board of the Galactic Institute with an idea that could revolutionize space travel. I was dismissed, expelled, cast out, but I did not give up. With a gesture, she activated a holographic display, filling the air above her with complex equations and schematics. What you see before you is the culmination of 2 decades of work. A dry system that doesn't just bend space-time, but bypasses it entirely. A technology that could shrink the galaxy, bringing even its farthest reaches within easy reach. The chamber erupted in a mixture of gasps, excited chatter, and skeptical muttering. Zara pressed on, her voice growing stronger with each word. But this is just the beginning. Over the past years, my team and I have developed technologies that could transform life across the galaxy. Planetary shields, advanced medical treatments, terraforming techniques that could make barren worlds bloom. She paused, letting her words sink in. We stand on the brink of a new era. An era of exploration, of discovery, of breaking free from the limitations that have held us back for so long. But to step into this future, we must first let go of our outdated notions of what is possible. As Zara concluded her presentation, the chamber descended into chaos. Delegates argued fiercely, some calling for immediate adoption of the new technologies, others demanding they be suppressed for the sake of stability. Amidst the furor, a familiar figure made his way to the central podium. Administrator Vex, now bearing the insignia of the Galactic Institute's Supreme Chancellor. "Dr. Chen," he said, his 3 eyes blinking in sequence, "your achievements are impressive. But surely you understand the danger of releasing such powerful technologies without proper oversight, the chaos it could cause." Zara met his gaze steadily. "With all due respect, Chancellor, the only danger here is the danger of allowing fear to stifle progress. These technologies could solve problems that have plagued our civilization for millennia. Yes, they will bring change, but isn't change the very essence of growth?" The debate raged on for hours. Zara stood her ground, countering every objection with reasoned arguments and hard data. Slowly but surely, she began to win supporters among the council members. As the session neared its end, the Galactic Council found itself at an impasse. The old guard, led by Chancellor Vex, called for caution and further study. But a growing faction, inspired by Zara's vision, demanded immediate action. It was then that an unexpected ally stepped forward. Professor Zix, Zara's old mentor from the Institute, now aged but still sharp-eyed, took the floor. "My esteemed colleagues," he growled, his voice carrying the weight of centuries of respect, "I have spent my life in pursuit of knowledge. And in all those years, I have never seen potential like that which Dr. Chen has shown us today. We would be fools to turn our backs on this opportunity." His words tipped the balance. In a historic vote, the Galactic Council decided to embrace the technologies of the cosmic confluence, with Zara and her team to oversee their implementation. As the session adjourned, Zara found herself surrounded by council members eager to shake her hand or offer congratulations. But her eyes sought out one figure in particular. Chancellor Vex approached her, his expression unreadable. "It seems I underestimated you, Dr. Chen. Again." Zara smiled, extending her hand. It's not too late to start over, Chancellor. There's a whole new galaxy out there for us to explore, together. After a moment's hesitation, Vex took her hand. It was a small gesture, but it symbolized so much more. The bridging of old and new, the union of caution and innovation, the promise of a brighter future for all. As Zara left the council chamber, her comlink chirped. It was Krell, his voice bubbling with excitement. Zara, we just got word of the council's decision. You did it. We did it, Krell, Zara corrected, her heart swelling with pride and gratitude. All of us, and this is just the beginning. As she stepped out onto a balcony overlooking the glittering expanse of Coruscant, Zara took a moment to absorb the magnitude of what had just happened. She had not only vindicated herself and her work, but she had opened the door to a new age of galactic progress. The stars seemed to shine brighter that night, as if in anticipation of the wonders to come. Zara Chen, once an outcast, now stood at the forefront of a galactic renaissance, and she was ready to lead humanity and all sentient beings into a future limited only by the bounds of imagination itself. The years following the Galactic Council's historic decision were a whirlwind of activity and progress. Zara and the cosmic confluence found themselves at the center of a technological revolution that swept across the galaxy. The quantum entanglement drive, now known as the Chen-Krell engine in honor of its primary inventors, was gradually integrated into ships of all sizes, shrinking travel times between star systems from weeks to mere hours. But it wasn't just space travel that was transformed. The planetary shield technology developed by the confluence was deployed to protect vulnerable worlds from natural disasters and potential conflicts. Terraforming techniques breathed life into barren planets, creating new homes for burgeoning populations. Advanced medical nanobots, adapted for various species, dramatically increased lifespans and quality of life across the galaxy. Zara, now in her late 30s, had become a galactic icon. She split her time between overseeing the implementation of new technologies, lecturing at the reformed Galactic Institute, which had undergone significant changes under the new leadership, and exploring the farthest reaches of known space aboard the Phoenix. However, with great power came great responsibility, and not all consequences of their rapid advancements were positive. Some less scrupulous individuals and organizations attempted to weaponize the new technologies, leading to a series of interstellar incidents that required careful diplomacy to resolve. It was during one such diplomatic mission that Zara received an urgent message from the Galactic Council. A crisis was unfolding that threatened the very fabric of the galaxy itself. Upon returning to Coruscant, Zara was immediately ushered into an emergency council session. The chamber was tense, filled with worried murmurs and fearful glances. Chancellor Vex, who had become an unlikely ally over the years, addressed the assembly. Esteemed colleagues, we face a threat unlike any we have encountered before. Our long-range sensors have detected a massive object approaching the galaxy at near light speed. Initial data suggests it's artificial in nature and of a size comparable to a small moon. A holographic projection appeared in the center of the chamber, showing a bizarre, geometrically perfect object hurtling through space. Its surface was covered in intricate patterns that seemed to shift and change as they watched. We've tried to establish communication, Vex continued, but have received no response. Given its velocity and trajectory, it will reach the outer rim in less than a standard month. We need a plan, and we need it now. The council erupted into chaos, with various factions arguing for different courses of action. Some called for a preemptive military strike, while others advocated for continued attempts at peaceful communication. Zara studied the hologram intently, her mind racing. There was something familiar about those shifting patterns. Wait, she called out, silencing the chamber. I've seen something like this before, in the ruins on Epsilon Eridani IV. Those patterns, they're not just decoration, they're a language. She turned to her old friend and colleague, Dr. Elara Voss. Elara, remember that ancient communication device we found? the one that used gravitational waves to transmit information across vast distances. Dr. Voss's eyes widened in realization. Of course. But Zara, if that's what this is, the energy required to power such a device at that scale would be enormous, Zara finished. Possibly enough to destabilize entire star systems if not properly controlled. The implications were clear. This wasn't just a ship or a weapon, it was a message. A message from a civilization so advanced that they could manipulate gravity itself as a means of communication. Over the next few weeks, Zara and her team worked tirelessly to decipher the message. They combined the knowledge gleaned from ancient ruins with the most advanced computational systems available. The Phoenix, with its quantum entanglement drive, made rapid trips back and forth between Coruscant and the approaching object, gathering more data with each pass. As the object entered the outer rim, tensions across the galaxy reached a fever pitch. But just as panic began to set in, Zara and her team achieved a breakthrough. "It's an invitation," Zara announced to the Council, her voice filled with awe. "They're calling themselves the Precursors. They say they've been watching our galaxy for millions of years, waiting for a civilization to reach a certain level of technological advancement. Our recent leaps in technology, they've triggered some kind of preset criteria." The council chamber was silent as the implications sank in. Chancellor Vex was the first to speak. An invitation to what exactly? Zara took a deep breath. To join them. To become part of a network of advanced civilizations spanning multiple galaxies. They want to share knowledge with us. Knowledge that they say will elevate our understanding of the universe to levels we can't even imagine. The debate that followed was intense. Some saw this as an unprecedented opportunity, while others feared it could be a trap or a prelude to invasion. In the end, it was decided that a delegation would be sent to make first contact, and to no one's surprise, Zara was chosen to lead it. As the Phoenix approached the massive precursor artifact, Zara felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. This was the moment that would define not just her career, but potentially the future of all sentient life in the galaxy. The first contact was beyond anything they could have prepared for. The precursors, beings of pure energy and thought, shared glimpses of technologies and scientific principles that made even the quantum entanglement drive seem primitive by comparison. They spoke of manipulating the fundamental forces of the universe, of traveling between dimensions, and of the true nature of consciousness itself. But more than that, they offered a choice. The galaxy could join their network, gaining access to this wealth of knowledge, but also taking on the responsibility that came with it. Or they could decline, continuing on their own path of development. It was a decision too big for any one person or even one species to make. Zara returned to Coruscant, where the Galactic Council convened the largest assembly in its history. Representatives from every sentient species in the galaxy gathered to debate the path forward. The discussions lasted for weeks. Zara, along with her team from the Cosmic Confluence, acted as intermediaries, explaining the offer and its implications. It was the ultimate test of diplomacy, requiring them to bridge gaps not just between different species, but between fundamentally different levels of existence. In the end, the decision was made. The galaxy would accept the Precursor's invitation, but on their own terms. They would join the intergalactic network gradually, sharing their own unique perspectives and innovations while learning from the advanced civilizations. As Zara stood before the Galactic Council to deliver the decision to the Precursors, she couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought her to this point. From a precocious 12-year-old expelled from the Galactic Institute to the person chosen to represent her entire galaxy to an advanced alien civilization, it had been an incredible ride. "We accept your invitation," Zara said, her words being transmitted across the vast distances of space. "The sentient beings of this galaxy look forward to joining your network, to learning and growing alongside you. But we also hope to contribute, to share our own unique perspectives and experiences. For while we may be younger, we believe we have something valuable to offer as well." As the precursor artifact began to glow, signaling the beginning of a new era for the galaxy, Zara felt a sense of profound satisfaction. She had not only vindicated herself and humanity, but had played a key role in ushering in a new age of discovery and cooperation for all sentient beings. The journey that began with a young girl's dream of revolutionizing space travel had led to the dawning of a new cosmic age. And as Zara looked out at the star-filled sky, now teeming with possibilities beyond imagination, she knew that the greatest adventures still lay ahead. For in the vast expanse of the cosmos, there would always be new frontiers to explore, new challenges to overcome, and new wonders to discover. And humanity, with its unique blend of creativity, adaptability, and determination, would be at the forefront of this grand cosmic adventure. The end was just the beginning.